How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to Guild Wars 2. I'm going to be covering a PvP build for you today, the Bread and Butter Soulbeast. This is going to be one of my Guild Wars 2 PvP build videos that I'm going to be going kind of back into, covering as many classes as I have access to. I only have like 5 character slots, but I will try my damn best to come up with some interesting stuff for you, as well as some different videos on how to make builds more efficiently, as I've seen some people try to create a build but struggle immensely, and I'd like to help alleviate that if I can in any way. But that's not this video. This video is going to be Bread and Butter Soulbeast. You can do tons of damage with this build, and surprisingly sustain a lot of the current meta with the Condi Bomb Necromancer that everyone of course hates. You are actually able to deal with that damage quite easily. There is a ton of condition clear, a lot of damage in here, and a lot of raw healing. Now, I'm going to cover the weapons and the talents. Of course, I'm going to cover pretty much everything. You guys all know the drill, how build videos work. But for those of you who don't, we're going to go through the weapons, of course, sigils, rune, amulet, and then the specializations and the abilities. And then I will cover how to play the damn thing at the very end, accompanied with some high kill gameplay, hopefully. But the weapons we're going to be using is going to be the bow, and then dagger and warhorn. Now, of course, you probably all know the weapon skills, but for those of you who don't, the reason you're using bow is, of course, long range damage, and rapid fire is absolutely insane. Of course, we probably know what rapid fire does. Alright, barrage, point blank shot, etc., etc. But now, the second weapon set, the dagger and warhorn, some of you might be a little confused about that. And there is a actually quite good reason, because since we're stacking power, Hunter's Call does a significant amount of damage if you're on dagger. But that's not why we use it. I like to use it for Call of the Wild, because this gives you and your entire team swiftness. So if you're playing ranked, this is exceptional for starting off the game. If you're the only one on your team for some reason who has a movement speed boost, well, your team will always have a movement speed boost at the start of the game, as opposed to walking out very slow. Their team has one, and they just they get to the point faster than you, and it kind of spirals downwards. Now, if you aren't a fan of having this, or you run in a pre-made, you can run a Greatsword if you want to, for Greatsword 3 to be able to charge very fast. You can kind of morph the second slot to whatever you want. You can even, there is some shenanigans I created at some point with Longbow Ranger, but that's going to be in a different video. That's a little bit of memery for a different day. But that is why I like to use the dagger. Is Call of the Wild is exceptional for ranked and even just for casual play. Now, going into the bow sigils, we're going to have separation and exploitation. These are pretty self-explanatory. Increased damage when far away from someone, and increased damage when they're below 50% health. After all your bursts, they're going to get below 50% health pretty quickly, unless they're a tank build, or they reflect it all back at you and kill you pretty much instantly, but we're not going to talk about those days, because those are the bad days. And on the dagger, they don't really matter much, but we're going to go with energy and escape. Essentially, if you wind up swapping the dagger in combat, which you won't be, but if you do accidentally, you get more endurance, and you get movement pairing effects removed from you, which is always nice. Now, going down to the rune, we have the Rune of Rage. This is going to give you a ton of damage. Crit hit damage all the way, ferocity, fury duration, more ferocity, chance to gain fury when hit, more ferocity, and then the big moneymaker, 20% fury duration while under the effects of fury. I can't read, it seems. Gain 5% increased damage. You have to. I apologize for the dog in the background. The amulet is going to be Berserker amulet. Of course, as I said before, but you surprisingly don't take that much damage. Now, why is Rune of Rage on this build? Because fury duration is always nice, but the thing is you will pretty much always have fury, whether from Soulbeast and using some of your spells in Soulbeast, or just using pretty much anything on your bar, if I'm entirely honest, because your heal, your lightning reflexes, and your quickening zephyr are all going to give you fury, which surprisingly you'll be using these quite often, and they recharge very, very fast. So you'll have fury up pretty much 90% of the time, and you won't even have to worry about maintaining it, but you'll get an additional 5% damage increase from having that. And that also factors into our burst, because we're going to be popping Quickening Zephyr when our burst starts, combined with Rapid Fire, as you probably expected. to do a ton of damage. So of course, adding an extra 5% damage to that, always quite nice. And if we went over berserker amulet already, let's get into the specializations. I'm not going to be covering the minors. If you want to know what those are, you can just click on it yourself. I'm just going to detail all of the majors and why I choose them. Now, we're going to go with Stone Form in the first row here, because this allows you to tank power bombs. And I don't mean getting thrown over someone's shoulder. I mean getting backstabbed and almost one-shotted. This will make it so that if you hit 50% health or take a massive power spike, then you'll take no damage for the next 2.5 seconds. Now, it has a really long cooldown, but at the same time, it makes it so you obviously can't get one-shotted and can react to most things. Now, this is your form of power mitigation alongside just basic healing, which we have a significant amount of, but our condition removal is all tied to our survival skills down here, and this is going to be our power mitigation alongside our healing. And the other ones are quite nice. Hunter's Gaze isn't that bad. And then pet becomes unblockable whenever you swap pets. That's nice too. But personally, I like having this, especially with the fact that so many people can just drop you instantly. Especially considering you're using Berserker Amulet. If you make a mistake, you die. And this is a nice bit of mitigation from instant death. Now, this one is actually kind of changeable depending on what you want to play and if you're playing ranked or not. And why I say that is because we're using brutish seals here. Because what this does is activating a seal grants fury to nearby allies, and signets gain reduced recharge rate. Now, there used to be a signet the last time I played, which was you got increased just damage whenever you popped it. So it made you even stronger, and your burst was just absolutely ludicrous. But that's been changed a little bit now, and the new one is a Signet of the Hunt. It makes it so that your attacks become unblockable. So if you're playing in ranked, this is going to be invaluable, like absolutely exceptional. If a Revenant hunkers down, you just pop this, and your rapid fire will go straight through his shield. When he hits his 20 or 25% bubble marker, and he goes into his guaranteed bubble, if he has that talented, you can just pop this, go straight through it, and just kill him. You don't have to worry about anything like that. If Warrior puts up a shield reflect, then this will go straight through it. I don't think it'll reflect projectiles. I haven't run into a shield warrior recently, so I'm not entirely sure. But if it still manages to reflect projectiles, well, I mean, I'll give it to him. Alright, there's not much I can do about that. But if he puts up a shield, he doesn't have that talent. You hit Signet of the Hunt, you can go right through all of it. But if you're not playing ranked, then you can instead take Farsighted. Projectiles fired by the Rangers weapon skills deal increased damage the farther the foe is away. So if you're above a 600 range threshold, you deal 10% increased damage. Otherwise, you just deal 5% increased damage, which is always nice. So more burst damage on your rapid fire, which, of course, kill people faster, etc., etc. And then in the last tier, we're going to go for Longbow. Of course we are, because we're using a Longbow. So attack speed increased and arrows pierce. Arrows piercing is hilariously funny when you can kill 2 people with one good lined up rapid fire. It is always quite satisfying. Now moving down to Wilderness Survival, we have Taste for Danger, which is extra HP, and Expertise based on a percentage of Vitality. It's pretty much the best in the tier. Everything else is trash. That's the only real reason. So, I mean, Oakheart Salve, not bad. It's a toss-up between the two of them. You can choose. I like the extra Vitality. And then moving on, we have Shared Anguish. This is actually really, really powerful, and I'll show you why. You know, I can show you like right now. I can't give you an example of it, but I can show you why. So incoming disables are transferred to your pet instead. 90-second cooldown. Now, the reason this is so damn good is, say I get hammer stunned or something, right? Well, hammer stun will probably hit both of us, but say I get CC'd. It instead goes to my pet. So my pet's now CC'd. Soulbeast. The CC disappears. Soulbeast again. My pet's back out. Unstunned. Problem solved, right? So you can just pretty much delete a CC from the game every, what? I think it's like 90 seconds on the cooldown? Yeah. So basically the first CC that happens, you can pretty much just negate. So long as you don't need the Soulbeast right away in the fight, you can spend that to pretty much get your pet back. And if you're using one of the burstier pets, then you can just Soulbeast them back, and then you'll be able to just go back to what you were doing, which is quite nice. Just removing a CC off the fight is fantastic. And the Builder's Knowledge, survival skills gain reduced recharge, grant fury, and remove conditions. This is Godsent and your Condi removal. We're running 4 survival skills. Sorry, I didn't see Entangle there. The heal, lightning reflexes, quickening zephyr, and entangle. I will cover all of these skills in just a moment. Moving down to Soulbeast, the bottom tree is going to be Soulbeast. Entering Soulbeast breaks stuns and causes your attacks to temporarily be unblockable. Of course, this is for ranked as well. So you can have this, and you can have Signet of the Hunt, or you can have something different here if you want to. You can go with Farsighted, etc., etc. You just have to make sure that you remember that whenever you go into Soulbeast, that you get 4 seconds of unblockable attacks. It's just one extra thing to remember, and I like just seeing that, oh, I have Signet of the Hunt up, he's blocking, alright, press the button, he dies, we're good. But this is mostly here for the stun break. So not only can you break a stun off of your pet, you can break a stun off of you. So say you both get I think if you both get stunned, you'd be screwed. So you get CC'd, you pull your pet in, and you spit him back out. About 10 seconds later, you can go back into Soulbeast, you get CC'd, you go into Soulbeast, you break your stun again. So you can break 2 stuns in the span of like 10 seconds, which is absolutely exceptional, and just adds to the survivability of the build. Now, some of the other ones are quite nice. Live Fast is nice, gives fury and quickness, but a stun break is invaluable. You can't give that up, let's be honest. And conditions inflict less damage to you while you have protection. I believe that's the best one, if I remember correctly. Yeah, nothing else in the line is really that useful. So if you get protection from your teammates, I believe there is a way to apply protection as well. Don't remember where it is. I honestly don't remember where it is. But if you end up getting protection at any point from your teammates or from... There it is. I remembered it. You gain protection when you dodge roll. I almost biffed that one. But you get protection whenever you dodge roll, and then that reduces your condition damage by 33%. Always nice. Condition damage reduction. And of course you have the Condi cleanse and all that. So, and then our last one is Oppressive Superiority. Deal increased damage to foes at a lower health percentage than you. Conditions you apply the foes at a lower health percentage last longer. Now, there was like an entire speculation thing going on day one that this was going to be complete trash because it wasn't percentage based. It was number based. So if you had a higher health pool, like in total, you would be able to get this bonus faster than other people. But then it got changed to a percentage base thing, and it just kind of worked out. So you're at 100%. If they're at 90%, you get 10% increased damage. It's pretty simple. And the other ones are okay. Eternal Bond's not bad. It's a nice save, but learning to rely on it isn't really that great because you're like, okay, Eternal Bond's coming up, and then you get slammed, but you get stunned. You've burned all your other stun stuff, and you've got like a troll engine save to heal you, and you just get stunned and then die because you were waiting there for Eternal Bond, and then you were gonna troll engine afterwards, and you just kind of fall over. So learning to live on a crutch like that is not really something you should do, especially for ranked, because once people realize you have it, they're gonna just abuse it over and over. And 10% increased damage, it's just better, let's be honest. Okay, so that is the build coverage. Let's show you the basics of your burst combo. Well, it is pretty simple. You press 2 buttons and people die. That is the simplest way I can put it. We're going to make our way to the golems here. I am kind of retarded in my pathing, but we'll ignore that. So heavy golem, let's just showcase the damage, shall we? There's 20 stacks of vulnerability and half health, pretty much instantly. That has a 30-second cooldown, so that is up exceptionally fast. That was the heavy golem, of course, as my pet's whacking away over there. And rapid fire is up pretty much every like 8 or so seconds. So rapid fire does exceptional damage. You of course have barrage as well for putting that down on a point. Extra damage, always nice. But that is just the bread and butter of your damage combos. Just staying at range, poking people, and you will do a ton of damage. Like just auto attacks alone already do tons of damage. Of course, factor in opening shot. Right, this is just auto attacks I'm going to kill them with here. Factor in the fact that you have opening shot on you and your pet, so you get 10 stacks of vulnerability, and that's not even counting the vulnerability that you get. Let's pull my pet back real quick. Not even counting the vulnerability you get on rapid fire. So it just stacks up and stacks up. That's the wonderful use of this, of any bow ranger really, is that you can stack rapid fire extremely quickly, and get the vulnerability stacks up, and then your whole team does more damage to them, which is why it's good in PvE, it's good in PvP, etc., etc. So for the most part, you're just going to be auto attacking and rapid firing. If anyone gets close to you, point blank shot. You guys know how to play ranger, I would assume. But there's going to be some gameplay at the end, basically showcasing how to play Longbow Ranger. Pretty self-explanatory. Skills wise, we got Troll Engine. It's a heal over time. Make sure you don't pop this at like 2% health, or it's not going to really do anything. Try and pop it if you know damage is going to come. Like if you're at about 50% health and you've got a second to use an ability, I would probably use this. Because then this ticks even if you're CC'd, and this can't be removed. It's not a boon or anything like that. So this will constantly tick even though you're still taking damage, or if you're CC'd, this will still keep ticking, which is always nice. It also removes conditions and gives you fury. So when you pop it, you'll get increased damage, remove colonies, and heal over time. Exceptional. Lightning reflexes is your oh shit button. Wonderful as well. This breaks stuns alongside beast mode. Rollback, pretty simple. You get vigor and fury, so you can use it defensively, you can use it defensively, and I'll show you a pretty cool trick once it comes back. Of course, I covered Signal of the Hunt earlier, just passive movement speed, quite nice, and this can be changed out to whatever you like. I would choose Sick'em if I was playing in casual and just going for like a ton of damage. I would go Farsighted right here, and then I would take Sick'em here, and you know, I'm just gonna show you the damage that can do, just for a laugh, shall we? Once he lets the golem respawn, we'll see just how much damage that you can do with this. Because the funniest thing about Soulbeast is how the interactions work with you and your pet. You and your pet abilities, anyways. So essentially, Sick'em gives you 40% increased damage if you have beast mode up. So, just really quick. Sick'em! There's a lot of damage. Quite a bit of damage. So, if you're going to play casual, there's a one-shot setup for you. If you're going to play ranked, go for Signal of the Hunt to have a unblockable. And the trick I was going to show you is that if you're playing in action camera, you can quite easily do some wonderful shenanigans with lightning reflexes. You can basically turn your camera and use it to roll in that direction. So say I want to roll towards the bridge here. I can turn my camera around. I kind of biffed it a little bit there, I'm out of practice. But I can turn my camera pretty much backwards and then hit my roll, and it'll roll me this way. So I'll show you that again when it comes back up. You can do this with any roll in the game. It'll roll behind your camera, if it's a back roll, obviously. So you can use that to do some pretty tricky stuff and get into cover, out of cover, in range of someone if they're running from you. So I'll just show you that one more time. So we're running straight, and then if we just turn our camera like so, we can do a back roll and get a bit of increased distance. So for those of you who didn't know about that trick, that is a nice way to close distance on someone. And I think that's pretty much gonna run through all of it. Covered the abilities. Quickening Zephyr gives you quickness, super speed. You're not gonna pop this for super speed. Please don't do that. Just don't do that. Break stun, always nice. We have 3 stun breaks on the build. It's exceptional. Removes conditions, fury, and quickness makes it so that you can shoot rapid fire even faster, and of course do even more damage. Stacked vulnerability, combined with Sick'em. You guys saw how much damage that did beforehand. And lastly, we have Entangle. Nice AoE CC. If someone gets close to you, you can hit them with Entangle. They'll be rooted, and the best part is if you're playing in action camera, you can do a little bit of shenanigans with this against stealthers, something that you can't do if you're not playing in action camera. Essentially, if you hit them with a entangle and they go in stealth, you'll drop target on them. Now, if you're playing without action camera, then you may move your shot accidentally. So here, let me just hit this real fast. And you may wind up turning your camera or moving the shot incorrectly. But if you're playing with action camera, you can just keep it centered on where they were and where the entangle is. Like, you'll still see the entangle vines when they go in stealth. You just won't see the player. So you can just keep shooting at where the vines are and keep doing damage to someone in stealth. I've gotten multiple kills on stealthers and that sort of thing. When they think they're so sneaky and they press their stealth button while entangled, it doesn't save them. But they think it does, and I guess that's what matters, right? So that is pretty much going to be the Soulbeast. I should probably cover Soul mode, hey? Should probably do that. The pets you're going to use are going to be largely up to you, but the ones I like to run are the Fernhound alongside the Gazelle. Of course, the Gazelle can do a ton of damage with head toss. If you prefer a different pet for DPS wise, go for it. If you want to run 2 support pets, go for it. Whenever you go into beast mode, you gain 2 specific abilities to the pet, and then 1 specific ability to the type of pet. Of course, this is a DPS pet, so if we go into Soul Beast mode, we get access to 3 abilities, which is kick, pretty much useless, charge, nice bit of movement there, and we'll gore someone, you know, headbutt them. It has a daze on it if you want to get technical, if you're like an engineer player or whatever. And then Worldly Impact will do nice AoE. Nothing spectacular, a little bit of AoE damage, combo finisher, etc, etc. But that is pretty much for the stun break. If I'm on this pet, it's because I want damage. Now, this pet, the Fernhound, has become a favorite of mine because of his active ability. Regenerate, gives you a nice extra heal. Just little doggo howl. He's the goodest boy. Gives you regeneration, gives you a nice extra heal. But even more so is if we go into Soul Beast mode, we get 2 kind of average abilities. We get Crippling Leap, bit of distance coverage, and then Brutal Charge. Pretty shit, but it has a knockdown on it. But what matters is the Beast ability, which gives you a nice 4k heal and then 3 seconds of resistance. Any condition on you is completely nullified. So not only do we have Condi removal here in 4 ways of Condi removal, we have a 5th way as well of just Condi nullification. So it is overall quite nice. And that's going to bring us to the end of the basic Soulbeast guide. Now there is going to be a gameplay video coming up as well. You'll be able to see that on the end card or in the description. And that'll be a full gameplay with live commentary detailing every single action that I do, explaining why I do it, and pretty much how to play the build in an actual game, as opposed to just me telling you what the build is. I'll be able to show you pretty much everything in a live action scenario and test my live commentary skills. Now that's going to be all for this video. You can look out for different builds coming in the future, alongside some building tips and tricks, and eventually some gold farms. I want those wings. Take care, lads. So